Good morning. Beautiful day. And today I'm going to talk to you cancer cure. Let me explain to you. The existence has given us 3 layers. And the first layer is our mind. That the name is given to us by our mom and dad. And that is called the subjective layer. The second layer in our body is called the objective layer, the hand, the whole body which we can see. Now that is called the objective layer. Now this thumb don't know who you are. This life don't know who you are. The inside, the subjective layer, is the non-material, and this is immaterial which you can see. And the nature has given us, the existence has given us a third layer. And the third layer is inside of us. Your heart is pumping, your lungs are breathing, the kidneys are functioning to excrete your urine, liver is working to detoxify all the bad stuff you're eating, spleen is working its job to produce all the good cells so they can fight the immune system. You have red blood cell, white blood cell, T cells, and that is called what we call a consciousness layer or the spirit. I call it an unconditional consciousness, and that is the science which only very few people learn, because practically nobody knows that. And that is a yogic science. And that is the unconditional consciousness. Once you learn how to get to that consciousness, you can heal any cancer. We are talking about cancer of the prostate gland itself, because the prostate gland is the gland which is located at the base of the bladder. And that gland, without that gland, you and me would not have born. We are the luckiest people who are born. And that gland, it secretes what we call a prostatic fluid. And as it secretes the prostatic fluid, and during what we call man and a woman has a relation, like my mom and dad, naturally he has an erection, and that as the erection takes place, along with that the prostate gland start functioning also. And as the fluid is coming, when the really ejaculation takes place, prostatic fluid mixed with that. And how nature makes it? Look at that. From a seminal fluid, from the testicle glands and all the stuff, this what we call seminal, what you call the sperms are coming, and at the same time the prostate gland, which is located there at the base of the bladder, it mixes the fluid with that and makes the sperms alkaline and also give nutrition. Without that, you and would not have been born. And as that get impregnated into the woman's vagina, it's just like my mother, and the luckiest sperm out of that moves up. It is a 2-mile radius, 2-mile long journey, and that's go and meet with the ovum. And I tell you, that's a very complex journey, intricate journey, and they mix together and they fight with each other probably, whichever way it is, and that's where what we call the first cell is formed, and that cell get deposited, goes back to the uterus, and eventually you and me are born. So I'm the luckiest person who is born, and I tell you, my father loved me. I was the oldest one in the family. In 1967, I graduated in 1966 from Maulana Azad Medical College in Delhi. And I always wanted to come to the United States. And I tell you, it was 1962 when I saw President Kennedy in Connaught Place in India in an open car. At that time there was not that kind of traffic, and at that time there was not that kind of what we call a security, and he was a beautiful soul. And I decided at that time that I'm going to come to the United States. and I finished my medical college in 1966. And after finishing that, I passed the exams, and 1967 I came to the United States. And I did my internship, residency in internal medicine, then I did my urology, and then I went to practice. And I tell you, during that session, I met my wife, a beautiful, God-gifted person. And she has provided me 5 grandchildren. And I have got 7 grandchildren out of that. I have 4 daughters and a son, and then 7 grandchildren. And it is God's blessing. I practically see every day. And I tell you, my father was living here. He moved 1974 in the United States. And I was practicing in Zephyrhills. In one day, it was 1977, my father called me and he says, I can't breathe. And I told the people in the office, you have to close the office today, let everybody go, because my father, he can't breathe. I went home and I saw him. He was in a congestive heart failure. And I have to give him diuretics IV. And as I given him IV, he started breathing better. It was about 3 o'clock. And I told Papa, now you got a little better. I need to take you to another doctor. I took him to Polite City to Dr. Hakim. He was one of my friends who used to come to our home. And he saw him and he says, your father has a aortic valve which is closed. Anyhow, he told, let's go send him to Tampa General Hospital. And I took him the next day to Tampa General Hospital, and Dr. Vijay, bless his heart, a great surgeon, we did a cardiac cath on him. At that time the machine was very simple. There was no obstruction in his coronary arteries, but his valve, the aortic valve, was closed more than 90%. And the Vijay said, hey, if you operate on a person, he will die on the table. I said, look, he's going to die anyway, so we should operate. He operated. Next day, and he says we have to leave an endotracheal tube for 3 days. So that night I slept at the hospital. And at the 4 o'clock, my father get up. He says, I can't breathe. You have to take this tube. He's trying to pull this tube out. I took the tube out. He started walking and he did his prayers. And then 9 o'clock, Dr. Vijay comes and he sees him. My father says, I want to go home. And he says, oh, I can't believe it. So finally, he agreed and he came home the next day. At that time, he was taking about 17 pills a day. And now I'm so concerned about this medical thing that what I'm going to do with my father, because I don't want him to die. I'm looking for an answer. I met Dr. Sodi Polaris from Mexico City. I went and worked with him for 1 month. And I tell you, he had patients who had heart attack 30 years ago and they were walking mountains. He told me what to do, and I came home and I changed the whole habits of my father. He was yogi, but he was not doing all the things what need to be done for this physical body. I put him on a polarizing program, and in 1 month, I tell you, he was walking 1 mile a day. He was picking my oldest granddaughter without any problem. He was working in the yard. And the doctor said, before that, he will only live for 5 years. He lived for 15 years. And I tell you, my kids were growing as they were growing. And my life at that time completely changed. And I stopped all the surgery and I started treating people with what we call that total body, mind, body and spirit, you can call it. And I tell you, at that time, I had prostatic people who had prostate enlargement, prostate cancer, and I started treating these people with a polarizing program and abdominal pumping and interlocking. I had about 294 patients. Out of that, 186 were had what we call a prostatic enlargement, and about 108 they had prostate cancer. Prostate cancer, and these people, I followed them every week, and I tell you, 90 days, people who had prostate cancer, their alkaline phosphatase came normal, and they had sexually became active. And the people who had a prostate enlargement, they start peeing normally, and also they had their sexual function came back. It was amazing. You know, this body which is given to us, it has 554 trillion cells. Each cell is a city, and each cell is itself a computer. But we don't understand that. And this body is so fantastic that we are our own enemy. Because our mind, which has become totally intellectual and identified, and we get occupied with that, and we forgot about our consciousness and the spirit, what we call it. The people call it spirit, but I call it consciousness. And the body itself. Body is always in the present. We never even thank our body. And I tell you, recently, you know, you can see that Warren Buffett, he had a prostate cancer. And he was diagnosed because the PSA test was positive, that means it was high, which the test was approved in 1986. And since the test was high, he ended up with a prostate biopsy, and later on ended up with a radiation. Mitt Romney, bless his heart, he probably also got diagnosed because his PSA was high. As the PSA was high, and he got his prostate biopsy, find an abnormal cell, and he ended up with a prostatectomy. And each one had their own complications. Prostatectomy produced loss of erection, loss of ejaculation, and orgasm, depression, and so on. Mitt Romney, naturally, the radiation naturally is going to affect the immune system of the body, and not only that, it will affect what we call the search engine of his prostate gland itself. And the Mitt Romney's, the search engine, the prostate gland is taken out. Bless his heart. I hope they are all healthy and happy. And their doctor, they're totally conditioned. They think they can cure it. There is no way they can cure it. I can tell you, after the death of my father, I started traveling to India. It took me 30 years now that I became a yogi. Now I understand the human body. I can tell you, literally, a person with a prostate cancer, gone. The question is, why does a person get a prostate cancer? Why this person invites that cancer? Because of the conditioned unconsciousness. And look at that. Mitt Romney got prostate cancer, Warren Buffett got prostate cancer, and many other, all these people who has a lot of money, well-educated people. Why? Why the cancer go unattached to them? The question is how you can detach it. And you know, it is a science which I can tell you, you can literally detach this cancer, prostate cancer, when it is localized. You don't need what you call robotic surgery or radiation or any other technique. The body is so fantastic and the body is so beautiful. Nobody is paying attention because that cancer cell came because of the conditioned unconsciousness, and we have to learn now how to stop it. And not only that, we have to learn how to detach it. And my object is now to raise 1 million people to become a yogi like me. And I tell you, my father was yogi. He could never teach me how to become a yogi. I used to go home when I was in practice and I see him lying down in the prayer room. I could not feel his pulse. The yogic science is at 10,000 years old, and there is very few people who really understand this, because the whole country in India is same as becoming United States, because everybody just like we have highways here and we have hospitals here, we have all the hotels there, same thing happened in India. Now the India has become the same way. They have all the hotels, all the big hospitals, and they're luxurious hospitals. It's not like a what you call a big hotel, and people are going there and they're getting all these operations, whatever they need. But I tell you, do they need all these operations? No, because we have forgotten about this body. In the United States, the people are running to the doctor's office like nobody's business, and they are just getting trapped because they are conditioned unconsciousness. And my object is here to teach you to become a yogi, and I want to raise 1 million yogi in this country so they can never get cancer. And the person who got a prostate cancer, I can show them how they can get rid of their cancer completely from their body before they get their prostate gland removed by the robotic surgeon or by radiation or some other procedures. But I can tell you, you have to bring your doctor, because I will never work with you unless you bring your doctor, unless you talk to your doctor, because we want your doctor to get involved. We want your doctor to learn it so he can teach other people, because we are not here to hurt you. We are here to help you, because we have to change this country. We have to come back to life, liberty, and happiness. And let me tell you today, I'm watching CNN every day. Bless his heart, Donald Trump. I wrote a book on him that he will become the President of the United States. And the name of the book is called Prescription for Conditioned Unconsciousness. And he won the race because he was only conscious a part of it. Because he was a little more conscious than the people who were fighting with him, than with other Republican people. And the media, he tried to indirectly tell the media that you are all wrong. Because he was more powerful, because he knew he has a more consciousness, and that's why he won. Now what's happened? All the news are going, he has trapped himself. He has made a cancer for himself. He has got a cancer of his brain, cancer of his mind. And you know, the day you are born, baby is there, they are born with unconditional consciousness. And we have to teach them, called the conditioned consciousness, so they can concentrate, they can survive in this world. But as they grow up, totally, that they learn from your mom and dad, the society, teachers, educated, and just like a doctor, they become a doctor. Now they know how to dissect it. They can identify that I'm a doctor. A doctor, for instance, who is a robotic surgeon, he thinks that I can do the better job. Now they're fighting with each other who have done more robotic surgeries so they can do a better dissection. Imagine yourself, you're trying to take this thing, prostate gland out, which has given us a life. Nobody's thinking that let the body do the job. But they don't know, because they don't know how to become unconditional consciousness. When they were a child, they had unconditional consciousness. Now they got totally what we call conditioned unconsciousness. Because they are running their own daydream. They are dreaming their own self. It is auto-hypnosis, auto-intoxication. A radiation guy is doing the same thing. He thinks I can radiate and cure that cancer of the prostate. No way. They are basically producing an injury, not only to the prostate gland, they are burning that, but they are also affecting the immune system of the body. And I can tell you, and I request, even a Donald Trump, even he has invited a cancer in his own body, the whole body, because he's running like a yo-yo. Mitt Romney, Warren Buffett, I'd like to request them, please invite me so I can come and spend 10 minutes of your time and I can show you how you wake up. Because you can only wake up the person who can awake you up. Awakening by the Master. And I tell you, there is no price for this. I will do it totally free because I want them to wake up so they can help other people. Because that awakening, you can't read in a book. It is not in the book. It is not in the Bible. So you have to learn. My object is to wake up America. Wake up. God bless. Namaste. Amen.